All right, all right, all right. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm finishing setting this up, and we'll get going here in just a second. Need to send out a few tweets. If you guys want to come up on stage, by the way, anyone is welcome to come up here. Join the conversation. For those of you who have not been here to one of the episodes of Wonky Weekly Alpha before, we do this every single Friday ish. I mean, occasionally it lands on Saturday, Sunday, something like that, just depending on the day. But we do it every single week, every single weekend. No matter what is happening across the market, we have been consistent. The past 46 weeks, we've been doing this straight, and we're going to continue to do it for another 46 weeks and another 46 weeks after that. So this is just an opportunity to be able to get together as a community, be able to talk about what's going on, both with the stonks and with the, just the NFT market as a whole. And, whatever else is happening in life, anything else happening across the board. Friday spaces have always been my favorite part of the week. So excited to be back again. And with all that, again, let me send out a couple tweets and we'll get this kicking off. Mr. Rooster, what's going
Good
on,
morning.
sir?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, how we doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I was punctually late as always to these spaces. I feel like I always, every single Friday, they vary by about 5 to 10 minutes from the actual start date typically. That's another thing you've got to learn about the Friday spaces. They're very much Friday vibes. And the Friday vibes are kind of go with the flow of whatever's happening. uh,
Yeah, 110%, man. Just enjoying my coffee out of my wonky mug. It'll be a good day.
oh, love that, man. Love that. How's the weather up in Colorado right now?
It's like one of the 4 cloudy days of the year. So it's a little overcast. Uh, like 32 right now. Not the best outside. But not horrible. Could be worse.
That's not terrible, man. I mean, like no heavy snow or anything yet this year.
Oh no, man. We've had a couple of storms this past week. And it's crazy. So apparently the Denver area is one of like the top places meteorologists study for weather patterns because they're so unpredictable. And we had where we were supposed to get zero point 0.1 inches one night last week. We got 13 in the city.
Holy cow! Well, I was going to ask, how
Yeah.
are things up in the mountains? Because I'm looking to do a trip up somewhere in that area. I'm not sure whether Keystone, Copper, Breck. One of the easier ones to get to. Like not looking as much at the Vale Aspen slash Steamboat areas this time around. And just kind of curious what the what everything's looking like right now because I haven't looked at the snowfalls lately up in the
Oh,
mountains.
the mountains are gorgeous. The roads will be fine unless if you're going like, mid storm week or whatever, right after a big storm. Roads are, typically pretty clear. But the mountains, yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. They got a good base layer of snow at this point. I think most are sitting around like 60 inches. And the mountain I frequent has gotten like 120 inches so far this season, which is pretty solid.
Dude, that's amazing.
You going up there to ski or board?
I'm skier is all I've ever done. I've never done the boarding side of it, man. And I haven't skied in a few seasons though because basically since I messed up my knee back in 2019. Tore the ACL. I had 2 surgeries that year. You've heard the whole story about the comeback, but then COVID hit, and then I got fat, and it was the crypto, the bull run, and just like next thing you know, it's been, I guess about because I didn't do it in 2019 when I was supposed to, didn't do it in 2020. It's been heck 4 years. So yeah, it's been a minute, man. But I want to get back out there. Dude, actually, the funniest thing about how I learned how to ski, it was my senior year of college, and went with like a big group of friends, and all of them had grown up going before. It was my first time. They told me, they're like, okay, skip any type of ski instructions day number one, not worth it. Right? Like, we will teach you everything you need to go whenever you get up there. I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't even know, like, pizza and French fry, like, how to slow down and how to like speed up and anything like that. Well, we all get off the lifts at the top of the mountain, and the guy that was basically supposed to show me everything, like the guys in the lifts in front of us were like, "All right, first one down, like whatever, whatever." So this guy, without even thinking about it, just darts off, and next thing you know, I'm trapped at the top of the mountain by myself. Had no idea what the hell I'm doing. I didn't even know what the difference between any diamonds or tracks were. So the way I started, I felt so bad for everyone across the mountain because I was just like, well, F it. I guess the only way to get down is to try to, like, go down. So I did it, and I didn't know how to. So I just pick up speed. And as I was picking up speed, the only way I knew how to stop was to roll out of it when I started to look like I was going too fast. So then I'd roll out of it and I'd just be tumbling down the mountain, like depending on whatever speed I'm going, sliding. And I'm like, okay, this is how you stop whenever you ski. And eventually, I'm kind of watching people kind of picking up a little bit of the rhythm for how to slide left, right, do whatever, weave in and out of the, and next thing you know, like, I'm okay. But then, like, later that day, by my first afternoon, I did my first black diamond because on complete accident, because I took a wrong cut again. And like, I didn't know the difference between what's normal steep and what's not. So I'm just flying down this thing, man. I mean, absolutely flying around everybody else. And, the best part about it all, though, in retrospect, was I learned zero fear. And looking back on it, probably stupid because, this was in the days before helmets were really a popular thing, too. So, like, no helmets in any of this. And I guarantee you, like, not that I was going that fast, but I was probably going like somewhere, around 50, like, still blazing down that thing because I get ski track. I got ski tracks on the phone later on. That's so fun to, keep track of that shit. But anyway, that was the first ski experience, and that's what I've stuck to ever since.
Yeah, if I didn't wear a helmet my first day of boarding, I would still be concussed to this day. I probably have a little bit of permanent brain damage. Helmets didn't used to be cool, right? But it's cool now, guys. Wear a helmet, protect yourself. It's cool to not have brain damage nowadays.
Yeah, bro. The crazy thing is that transition's really only happened like the last 5, 6 years, I feel like, as far as like everybody wearing them. But anyway, yeah, sorry to get off track, everybody in the audience, but this is, it's part of the Friday vibes, just going through whatever.
Happy Friday, fam. Happy Friday. Loving the vibes.
Hope everyone's enjoying the new year.
Yes, sir. Wonky Ping, bro, is this your first time on one of these spaces, or did you just change your name? Is this somebody that I recognize with a different name up here?
Just change the name. You do know my personal account, but this is a new alternate account.
Oh, wait, shoot. PA born and raised, aspire, like,
mystery.
Okay, you gotta drop the name because I should know this, and I'm not recognizing.
Zach Newland.
Oh yeah, awesome, man. Well, congratulations on the new account.
I appreciate it. So one thing I was kind of curious about.
Let's hear it.
Obviously for these NFT communities, the founder is a big part of it. But one thing that's never really discussed is what happens if that founder passes away. Like, do we have a contingency plan? Like, are you
planning something? Are you planning something?
Well,
no, honestly, I've always wanted to know this shit too. Actually,
I'd say that's the best thing about this being art focused without a roadmap is that the community could carry it on.
No, I think what will happen, you know Satoshi from MFS, he said, I'm gone in 21, and then suddenly, 1st of January, man came back alive. So I think with these founders, they die and then they come back alive, right? That's what happens.
Did you not
So
see, the other guy who got in a car accident and was in a coma for 6 months, and he just woke up and realized people were saying his project was a rug, but he's back and ready to grind.
That's
I remember reading something probably like 5-6 months ago from some random ass rug project, and the founder was like straight up died, right? And then he came back into the Discord apparently, and he was like, "Oh, I'm alive." And then like 3 months
Yeah,
later, and
because it did
everybody was like,
well.
"What?"
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the mid you're talking about where it like
yeah,
mitted
I think
out and then
so.
started going up? He's like, actually, I'm alive again. Like, great news.
Right. Oh, it's
no,
funny.
but I think on a serious note, I think that's why it's so important to have a really good community around the project, and that's why also sometimes I think roadmaps are very interesting from this point of view, especially when the leadership decides to move on, die, you call it, right? Um, I think, Wonky Stonks is definitely fits the bill, although, it would be naive to say if, Kaleo decides tomorrow, do you know what, I'm done with crypto. I'm going to go back to my job. I think you were an engineer or something, Kaleo. And, probably what we wouldn't do as good, or maybe we wouldn't move as fast as with you, like with a massive 500K, account, but we wouldn't die either, right? I mean, I think, and that's why I think the community can still kind of thrive as long as that's the foundation. I think in projects where it all resides on the roadmap and all decides on kind of what's going to happen next. If something happens to that team, then yeah, that's usually bad news.
Well, with it being
Well,
art focused, also doesn't the value increase?
I was
so
saying there's always a backup plan. We always got Hondo. Sorry, Kay.
No, I see hey, but Rooster did make a point. Like maybe that is the game plan to finally solidify this as a blue chip, right? How many artists never really, hit their stride until after they died? I don't know the answer
well,
to that
hopefully that
question as far as how many, but I know that there are quite a few.
Yeah, maybe avoid flying for the next couple of weeks.
no.
I'm going to avoid any type of meetups wherever Zach is there.
If you're
Like that's
you
the main goal at this point.
no, you know my name. I won't do anything.
Mr.
Oh man, dude,
Nomad,
that is funny.
welcome up. How you doing?
Legend.
Hey guys, doing well. That was a great question. I think maybe for those that weren't around in the early days, it kind of was just the jack of all trades, right? I mean, I think we really don't give 80s enough credit because this guy really held it together, and I think him and Rooster really have been the glue guys. And I think just those in the community and myself included, we really respect them. And so, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where, like, I don't want to think about any of your deaths, especially Cleo's, but I think it would carry on. It would probably just take a different narrative, right? Maybe someone like some Elon Musk type person takes over Wonkies and becomes the mouth. But yeah, that was really just what I wanted to say.
We were actually planning a mass event at the first Wonky in real life event, making a big giant batch of Kool-Aid. Everyone is welcome to come sip on the Kool-Aid.
I might spike it with some shrooms, but you never know.
All right, you know what I finally did this morning too? I acquired 2 Salo bots, aka C-hams, from the what do you call it? Art Blocks collection. And the game plan is basically with that, what I've learned with everything is if you really want to get yourself plugged into a community, you have to invest in that community in a certain sense. And, if you want any level of respect from them at least, right? Like, and one of the easiest ways of doing that, like looking at the squiggles. right? Like I have this art blocks thesis where the squiggles are going to take off soon, right? And that'll lead a gen art movement. And along with that, you're going to probably have a little mini art blocks season as well. So, I think some of these collections that have high notoriety, but are really depressed price, like the Saleabots, for instance, or aka the Seahams. Everybody recognizes a Seaham, right? So, there are a lot of collectors with deep pockets that have Seahams and other stuff in that art blocks collection. And I really think just being invested in that, one, you have the opportunity to be able to be there for whatever ride up. But then two, it does give you and your project more exposure, right? Because as far as tying into, what the Stonks are, it's a generative art community, right? And there are a lot of communities that we've brought into that with that. But, I think that like being able to reach out and bring some people in and get some type of exposure to that other gen art world is another thing that, hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Like, who knows what'll happen with it? Like, at the end of the day, I bought two because, hey, if these things reach whatever they reached back in the day, like, I'll sell one off. I'm not crazy. But like, I want to be able to have one to be able to, because I looked at my wallet and I was like, I don't have any art blocks exposure whatsoever. So anyway, I am a Seaham maximalist now. I kind of think they're like a mini cute collection for the art blocks also.
And so, for all the new holders and people who may not, understand it completely, do you want to just give a brief overview of the difference between like truly generative art and then, like PFP generation?
Yeah, the crazy thing is, Rooster, how cool is it that like we've really only barely kind of kicked off whatever's happened these past couple weeks, and already the wonky spaces. Actually, the number of people in the spaces has been directly correlated, I guess, to the price. Like if the floor price has tripled, the number of people in the spaces has tripled with it. So there's something funny about how that works. Anyway, point being, there still aren't a lot of people in that space. Take that one way or, whatever way you want to take that. But the PFP generative art movement, basically you have an artist and the artist draws out a bunch of different pieces, and it's almost like a puzzle where you can fit these different pieces together. They're all interchangeable. They can all be stacked on top of each other to be able to randomly generate, certain rarities based on some of these drawn out traits. So they are not actually generated, the art itself is not generated by any algorithm, right? Only the combinations of the art are the, generation for that algorithm. Now, on the other side of it, like true generative art is fully drawn out and completed by an algorithm, right? You write out some code and it produces this, this generative art on the screen. And that's what the stonks are, right? It's a similar type thing to like squiggles, for instance, where squiggles, you look at that, it's just like rainbows basically drawn across a white screen. And, other things in like Fidenza, right? Like it looks more like abstract art. It's similar with the Wonky Stonks, where the Wonky Stonks, Hondo coded it out. It's 100% generative art where all of the price action is a random walk across the screen. Basically, imagine like flipping a coin a million times, and each time is, what direction the next candle goes. And there's more to it than that, but that's a simple way of thinking about how some of the price action was generated. And the cool thing about it, though, is it does mimic real price action. As you dive through the art, you realize, okay, like, we did a contest the other day and Obvi, ended up winning that. He basically mirrored, the stonk that was randomly generated, the type of price action that was in there, basically perfectly mirrored the 0708 financial crisis, that entire collapse. So, and there are a ton of different examples of that as you peer through this. And I think that's the cool thing, both for, NFT collectors and traders, is that they can look through a bunch of this and not just the art. Like, the more you're looking through it, the more I think the aesthetics are appealing. And you're like, this is cool. And they make great mashups, like looking at Rooster's PFP, right? Looking at Puck's PFP. But on top of that, they really are, I think that there's a beauty behind charts for people that have studied them and looked at them long enough. And I think that beauty, it resonates with me. And I think that there's a large group of people that are out there that, you continue to sow the seeds with, that believe in that same vision, that have that same appreciation for the art. So hopefully that kind of describes it for anybody that's new. Hopefully that answered your question, Rooster.
Did you and Honda go through? I'm assuming there's been a few cycles before you allowed this to in, but did you go through like some of the color combinations, like the Miami Vice, are now obviously quite popular? Did you guys kind of pick up some of these colors? Decided, okay, maybe we're not gonna add. Actually, I don't know what colors we don't have a chat, like black or whatever. How come like for example the Miami Vice? How did some of these kind of come to life?
So it was a lot of iterations between the two of us, just kind of passing back and forth different color palettes. And one of the things that made it difficult too were, kind of like at the very beginning, the traditional kind of muted colors that you have across the screen, for the stonks, like that was kind of the first iteration of it. There were a lot of just muted colors, and, it didn't matter the spectrum, plugging them in there from what was generated in order to really get the data to pop and to have it be as crisp and as clean as we wanted. The muted colors made sense. And, it was something that I really wanted more color in the collection combined with it, though I think the muted colors do have their place. I think that the wonky side of it, like, you've got your classical, and that's why we call it classical and wonky, right? And then the wonky was kind of the more crazy type colors. And the funny thing is, I ran by both iterations with multiple groups of friends, and there were some people that were absolutely like, no, these crazy color charts are too crazy. What are you doing with these, right? And then other people were like, well, these other ones are too calm, too quiet, you need more color, right? So like that's why we thought having a combination would be great for the collection itself. But then one day, I was looking through it and I was like, hey, Hondo, can we add in some gradients to this as well? And he was like, yeah, it'd be really easy. So then we started playing along with the gradients, and, that ended up being released into the fold as well. But that, the layout of the actual picture itself, some of the indicators, some of the complementary, like the volume bars at the bottom, right? Like that's something that I think is, like if you take the volume bars out, it just, I don't know, there was something that just didn't look nearly as appealing on this. And the volume is randomly generated volume as well, but like that's what the bottom bars are. And you've got other indicators that somehow, or that sometimes pop up down there, like the MACDA, etc. But anyway, it's all, I don't know, man. It was a lot. Actually, we even played around with for a while, where we both drew it out, and we also like literally had like a couple fiber artists that went through and were like, hey, here's some potential background like drawings that would randomly pop up on some pictures as like whatever level of opacity, so that you could see them, like a bear or a bull or this or that would pop up on every whatever image. And we just went through it, and eventually we're like, nah, man, like that's not it. That ain't it at all. So it is funny. I can share in the in the Discord sometimes some of those old renditions that we had. But basically, I looked through, and like it didn't matter whether we drew it or somebody else did. It just didn't look nearly as cleanly, and we thought it took away from the generative aspect. But that was one of the considerations that we went through. We went through a lot of different ideas, a lot of different iterations. It was several months of coding, going back through this, kind of grinding through this in the background, and really happy with how it ended up turning out before it was released.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see some of the first iterations and how it changed to the final product. Like if some of them look like the FOMO charts that were airdropped to us stockholders in the very, very beginning. The the scammy FOMO charts. Those were hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was the first kind of derivative type thing that popped up. Were the scammy FOMO charts? You're right.
You know, it's insane in that even it's generative art. There are some charts which mimic the price action, against whatever timescale. I think most of them are really good going into 2022, but they mimic it so good with that of Bitcoin. It's insane. Like one would even say, "Are you sure? Are you sure this is generative?" Because it's so on point. I think 80s. I think yours 661. 661. I think that's pretty close to the price action going into April, May, if I'm not mistaken. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like identical to it. It's crazy, man. Some of the stonks out there are like fortune tellers too, man. Like they'll predict a market move. It's crazy.
Well, LST though, that is one of the things that I'm learning recently with some discussions because I've DM'd a couple buddies that I see are interested in some other projects, and I'm like, hey, like I believe in the stonks. I'm going to show you my own alpha here because like I really do believe in it. You can take it or leave it, but like I'm going to turn this into something great. So if you want, like if you're interested, great. If not, whatever. And they're like, okay, well, what's the overall vision of this? And as I'm talking through it with them, there are a lot of people that think that whatever these charts are, that they're based on like real charts that we just took random screenshots from like TradingView and imported it, right? Like, so there are a lot of people that don't even understand the generation aspect behind it. And I think the more that you understand the generation and the vision and, how it ended up producing what it ended up producing, the more that it resonates with people.
It's quite interesting too to like go back on the collection every once in a while. You always find something new, like the God candle that Rooster snagged the other day. Like I've never seen that before. Right? It blew my mind.
It's a one of one, baby. I got a one of one. It's an
Yeah,
unlisted
it's
trade,
insane.
but it's still the most rare stonk in the whole collection. I'll die on this hill. Puck Wudgy, what's up? What's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I joined during the very heavy conversation of Kaleo's passing. I didn't know he passed away, so rest his soul. But I was thinking, you were talking about how most people don't know that it's like a generative project. I guess I don't really have a full grasp on that either at this point. I think it would be cool to add that to the thread, maybe make a separate thread about how it works, or maybe a video if that's easier. I think that would draw some people in because it's such a cool idea.
Yeah, no, I can definitely do that. And, I guess just the interesting thing is I didn't realize that wasn't clear in the thread. Like every time that I ever say generative art, I just assume that was obvious, right? Like I didn't realize that it wasn't something that was obvious the way that like, that it entails, that it's similar to any other type of art blocks type of collection, right? Like, there are a lot of like for me it just is okay. Like, when you talk about generative art, what do you think of? You think of art blocks like the squiggles, that type of stuff. Like, I think the stonks also, right? Like it's the exact same type of concept. So like that is what I picture when I picture generative art. I didn't know that other people pictured anything else.
Yeah, so I've been in NFTs for a while. I'm not like crazy into it, but I assumed that also included like the penguins and stuff like that. I thought it was just anything that was kind of like randomly generated. I guess I didn't really understand the term fully.
Yeah. No, like that doesn't, it's all algo based output versus, somebody going and drawing and piecing everything together.
Yeah, so an algorithm literally drew everything about the Wonky Stonk and then grouped price action into different nicknames rather than like Kaleo or Hondo hand drawing the charts, the returns, everything, and then, compiling all together. But Kaleo, you got to realize, right, the NFT space as it sits, there's a high majority of just degens, right? The NFT space hasn't attracted, the the wine sipping art connoisseurs yet. But we know when they do start flooding into the space, the stonks are going to be one of the first collections they run to.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's it. It again goes back to the whole concept that I've talked about every other space, right? Like, the price of where they are now, I understand why a lot of people are taking profit, why people are like, it's never guaranteed that anything continues to climb. But, I think what the past few weeks have shown you is it doesn't take much volume for a collection like this to gain traction. And as collections gain traction, they continue to gain notoriety. And what that does is it continues to sow this broader seed into various, like I've seen people on NFT Twitter that I never would have assumed would have talked about the Wonky Stonks in years, even if it's not great stuff. Like they could just mention it in passing about whatever, but like they mention it, they know what it is now, right? And like that is progress, that's development, because it starts with people recognizing and seeing and being familiar with the product and with the collection. And the more that it's recognized, the more that as there's just something that happens to people that as the price of something increases, like the overall desirability and whatever increases with it, right? Like whenever Chromie Squiggles first came out, people laughed at that, right? They're like, who the hell would ever want to own a squiggle? People love the squiggles now, right? Like they appreciate the squiggles. They see the art behind them. The punks are another example. You can go through the list of these different collections and their evolution for how they transcended into the status where they currently are. And they're all different paths. But I truly do believe that there is a path that will manifest itself for the stonks one way or the other. Like I'm not sure exactly what that mirrors or how it entails, but I know the quality of the product that's there. I know the community that's backing it. I know the reach that the stonks have. So I really just look at it as far as an inevitability, as far as any type of traction picking up across the marketplace. Right now, what's basically happening with NFTs are you've got no new entrants right now with the current move that you're seeing in the market. It's just a regaining of confidence of current participants. So money is shuffling back in as people regain confidence. And we have yet to see the storm and the flood of new people that enter through the gates, right? And like that may not even be this year, right? Like who knows? It might happen this year. If it does, all the better. But, it may not be until the year after, the year after that. But I believe for the people, that are involved in collections that continue to persevere and continue to grind, regardless of where they are at whatever price, regardless of whatever type of traction, that whenever that type of movement and the new entrants do hit, it's a powder keg waiting to go off. All it takes is a spark. So I think that we've seen kind of the beginnings of that. But I really do think, as far as where we are right now, like the area where people are selling off, that's a mental barrier, right? 0.25, 0.3, like that's a technical level because there are a lot of people from the collection that, were involved initially whenever things got started. So in your head, you're like, okay, we're reaching these all-time highs where I should have sold the first time. And I'm going to take some profit here. And it makes sense. Like, I love that. I love that aspect for people. I want people to be able to do that, right? Like,
I
it's a
always have
responsible thing to do.
your voice in the back of my head. Like anytime I have an opportunity to take a little profit, man, like just take a little profit. It's okay. Still hold your bag, for later down the road. But if you have that opportunity, man, and there's no shaming yourself in it in any way, shape, or form, it's like make some money too.
Well, because at the end of the day, an efficient market should be able to absorb that type of liquidity, right? In its own way, in its own form, and I like a lot of people are so, just addicted to this instant gratification that they get upset whenever they see a listing or this or that. It's like, I don't get upset at all. I see it as opportunity during that time period for consolidation where, okay, you now have an opportunity at whatever price range this is to continue to either let people that have high conviction, continue to accumulate what they want to accumulate, or let new people enter that maybe won't have the opportunity later on at a higher price, right? You're able to continue to build that community. And that's why at the end of the day, I think the price is only relevant to a certain extent. It all comes back to the consistency.
Listen, one more thing about like the entire project and floor price and all that stuff. Doesn't even matter what this is, and I think it's pretty well established from the people that have been here since day one. Is like we have developed a new culture in this space. I mean, there's no other project like it. There's no other, aspect of what this is comparable to. And this community, the strength and the conviction of it really is developing its new and own culture, organically grown. And then the new entrants that are coming in, the new investors, they're starting to see this culture and they want to be a part of that culture too. And it's going to continue to flourish that way.
No, exactly. So, I think it's one of those things when you look at it from a technical point of view, and like, I do think that there's something mentally where, for some reason, as a project does, like when you're looking at the technicals of it and you're like, okay, well, 0.3 is this resistance. Once those type of levels are absorbed and they're broken through, well, now you've reached past that level of people that were looking to take profit, that, were whatever else. And I think that you're now in this level of investors and collectors that have bought into a different vision as far as what they expect and what they want, and their level of appreciation for what they have and what they can afford to carry on with. And I think that that's what the beauty of the price discovery is also, that as the floor continues to increase for whatever period of time there, that what you end up seeing and what we've already seen over the course of the past several weeks is this beautiful array of new stonks that, some of them, like what you said, Rooster, I've never seen before either. So there's some that are just either hiding up there at these certain levels, or some that people have held in their wallets for all this time, and that one day they wake up and they see the price, they're like, oh, I want to list this. And they don't even realize the beauty of what they have for what somebody else might compare it to at that current level. So I just think that it really breeds a lot of opportunity, even in the midst of expansion. So that's the exciting thing about that too. But there's a level of patience that I think that goes into that process, right? It's steering away from the mindset of the instant gratification, and then being able to look at the long-term conviction and vision of whatever that collection is, and being able to appreciate the art, appreciate the community in the process. I think that you're going to enjoy the experience a lot more than if you're just one of these people that are like, man, like this is a hot thing, I'm going to pick it up looking for that 0.03 flip, here in a few days. But hey, everybody has their place in an efficient market. Nothing against you if you are that person, but like your life is a lot more stressful than mine. Platty Mama, welcome up to the stage.
Welcome, Platty. How you doing?
Thanks, guys. How's it going, Matt, Kaleo, and Wonky Cube? Shout out to you and B-Ways in the audience. I like what you're talking about, and it's funny because I'm like, this project is very unique, and it's very interesting how I joined. And I'm thinking about everything you're saying, and I feel like I joined this community, because you had a space for the frogs, and then B-Way, I think it was B-Ways, gave me a Wonky Stonk, and this is like, I don't know, 8 months
June.
ago or something. June. So okay, yeah,
maybe later than that.
But I held on to it, and I appreciated it, because at the time I kind of, people like used to tell me like I'm silly for like, I won a bunch of NFTs around that time, and I never sold any of them because I felt like, it's a gift and it's a bear market and maybe it'll go up one day. But the reason I held this one especially is because this project really supported the plague. So I'm like, for that reason, I can hold it, because I really believe in projects supporting each other. And then I got to know all these people that are from this community are also in the plague community, and then vice versa. A lot of crossover happened. And then, the floor price dropped, and then it pumped again. And it was like at 0.1. And a few of my other friends that are in the plague maybe one, and they're like, I don't know much about Wonky Stonks. Should I sell it? It's 0.1. Maybe I could buy a frog with it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I just kind of like the community, and I'm going to hold mine. So I held it and held it. And now it's like, 0.3. And I'm like, oh my gosh, should I, you're not going to, like, if you're holding on to an NFT, you don't want to just sell one. But I was lucky enough to win a second one. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll sell, like, now that I have two. And then Lumber came along and is like, I really like what you're doing in the plague community and empowering women to speak and encouraging more ladies to get involved in the NFT community, and I really want to support that. So he gave me 3 Wonky Stonks when they were like 0.03 and nobody like wanted them. And then I was like, okay. He's like, keep one if you like and use them as giveaways or something. So I gave one away to another lady who, Sorrow, who's in the plague community, who was helping me with spaces. And she held on to it, and it went from 0.03 to 0.30. So, and she's still holding. So, and also another person who's on Cardano was in my space, won the other Wonky Stonk. So my point is that, like, so now I have 3 Wonky Stonks. I didn't pay for any of them. I feel horrible because I'm like, I always felt like this outsider that I never even bought. When they were down to 0.3, I had no liquid, or else I would have maybe bought one, but I really had nothing in my wallet at the time. But anyhow, I think there's credit is goes to where it's deserved, and this community really supported the plague when nobody knew what the plague was. So I'm definitely going to continue to support the Wonky Stonks. I'm still not sure what it is, but what I really appreciate about this community is that it's so consistent in gathering together and having spaces every week. And when I hear you talk, Cleo, you're real, you're authentic. And I didn't feel ashamed when you just spoke right now and said, it's natural for people to want to take profit. And I'm thinking, how am I profiting off this project? Like, I didn't even buy it. Like, so I felt bad. I'm like, should I sell one? Because anyways, I'll shut up now. But I just wanted to say that if it was not for the Wonky Cube being such a big part of the plague community, like, I would not have appreciated this project at all. He's like an OG plague. He brought like so many people from LedgArt to plague, and then now a bunch of people from plague opened up their eyes to Wonky Cube. So it's amazing when we lift each other up because we're all NFT people, regardless what projects we're in. And yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to you because it's great to see that the project is rising, and I'm sure that it will continue.
Well, I appreciate that, Platty. That means a lot. I'll let Cube take the stage.
Platty, how the hell have I not made you a cube yet? So
you made me a cube. You made me a cube. So I had the 3 NFTs, and I'm like, I have a cube now, and I didn't understand what the meaning behind the cube was, and like, squared or cubed, like whatever, is 3 to the power of 3, right? So yeah, you sent me that. I didn't even know that was a thing, but you know what? I can't blame you guys. Like, I don't go into Discord a lot. Like, I went in for the poker tournament. That was a lot of fun.
I'm looking at the
yeah.
cube I sent you on the 28th. I've made a few of them recently. I'm going to have to mash one of your frogs. You got an awesome green area chart that needs to get mashed. So I'll work on
it
something.
Was the other guy? What's his name? Yes, Mitt made me a mashup, but it's like just one chart with my 2 frogs on it. I can send you that if it's useful. But yeah, I appreciate it. I'm happy to tell people that this is a great project with a great community, with great alpha and consistent spaces. I see Frog Spaces is down there as a listener, and Frog Spaces, we like to have that account follow frog holders. I'm sure, Kaleo, you hold frogs. And connect with anybody who is connected to the plague. So I'm really happy to see that we have the frog spaces here, because when people who follow that account can just follow it into spaces with decent communities. So everybody give frog spaces a follow if you want to follow the frogs, and that space will go, if that account is in a space, whoever's speaking, regardless of their PFP, is usually a frog supporter.
No, it's a great idea, and Platty, you kind of hit on it. And it's been talked about a lot recently, is the cross community support, and I think that's why we're seeing everything kind of run up here recently. Sorry, I was late to jump in here today, but Cleo, I think I said it yesterday in one of the spaces you were in. A lot of the credit, though, with this Wonky Stonk rise is you've made some phenomenal calls. And then you're out there grinding and networking and just bringing more attention to the stonks themselves that, kind of have gotten overlooked. The other cool thing, in all the mashups, cubes I've been making lately, everybody always talks about community and community. There are some true blue chip NFT holders that are now entering the stonks. And if you see one of your buddies do something and they have street cred, right, you're likely going to follow suit. So I think there's a lot of momentum building. And I'm just really excited that the Wonky Stonks are getting some attention now. And I'm looking at a couple of stonks right now. You said it earlier that you've never seen before. I don't want to get front run on this one, but I got a bid on one, and I really hope I hit it. But so yeah, I just love everything that's going on. Mega bullish on everybody. And Platty, ribbit to you.
Thank you. Can I just ask quickly in one or two sentences, because people ask me and I don't know what because then they see the buzz and I don't know exactly what to tell them. Is it like an alpha group? What do I tell them?
Platty, restart on that real quick, because I missed the first half of your question, I think.
Oh, sorry. I get asked a lot of time. People ask me for alpha, they trust me. There's volume, it's moving, and then I don't know what to tell them. I'm like, it's an alpha community. I don't know. I know the art is the charts, but they ask me, is there a utility? And then I say, well, they do weekly spaces, and that's about all I can say, and I don't know what to tell them.
Buddy, here's the vision with the stocks. Let me share it with you. And you cut out again. I'm not sure what's going on just for a second there at the very beginning, at the exact same part of your spiel, but I think I picked up on what you're asking. The vision of the stonks is different from a lot of other communities, right? There is no official utility. There is no official roadmap. The official roadmap, if you go to the Discord, is we vibe and then we vibe harder. And what that means to me is basically that we're going to consistently show up, support each other, and build this in. Whether you call it an alpha community or not, you can look at several people within the community that have given solid alpha. Look at what Cube has done with the way that he got plugged into the plague, and Rooster with the pandas. And you can go down the list of different people that have gotten plugged into different projects that have supported each other in that process. And, what they've built with Room 110, with a lot of the people that have been the most active people in this community. At the end of the day, though, the vision of the stonks are just finding people that collect them and appreciate it for the art and for the community. At the end of the day, anything, the overall expectation by having no roadmap is that, there isn't, by having this utility, there are a lot of projects that are great as far as the utility front is concerned, right? I'm not knocking a utility project whatsoever, but I think there are a lot of utility projects out there. And I think the utility projects becomes really difficult in the process of developing a utility project to completely meet whatever level of expectations people have. They continue to rise throughout the years. They continue to evolve and change. And a lot of that utility can become mundane, right? And it can easily, by the time it's deliverable, it can be overhyped and underdelivered. So the overall vision with the stonks is, by having no utility, by having no roadmap, you curate a community of people that are in it for the art and for each other. And I think there's a lot of strength and a lot of power and promise in that. Similar to a lot of the art blocks type collections, nobody asks what the utility of a chromie squiggle or of a fidenza is, right? It's art. And that is the overall vision of the Stonks, is that it's about the art. And overall, my vision with LedgArt at the end of the day, I'd love to be able to add future collections, with more generative art. There are a bunch of ideas, things that I've worked on, Hondo has that, we look through all the time. But at the end of the day, my vision before doing anything else within LedgArt is to make the Stonks into something great, because I believe quality over quantity is something every project should focus on. And there are a lot of projects that have diluted their overall ecosystem in the sake of trying to lift that initial project out of whatever abyss that they feel like they've been stuck in. So my approach has been different, where it has not been swaying from any type of, of the no roadmap to some fake roadmap, because I believe the initial vision can and will continue to have traction with people that believe in the art. So that is the overall vision. And hey, there are people that, if it doesn't resonate with you, if that's something that just doesn't connect and that's not what you're looking for as far as collecting, I get that, right? Like, it is not for everybody, and no art, no project is. So I'm not going to sit there and try to convince every single person, but I will share the vision. And I think that it's something that can and will and has resonated.
Clay, if I could add one thing, I'd say, it's definitely the art, right? And then the community itself has branched out and made some good calls on other projects, like you alluded to. But one thing you didn't mention is the majority of us that started, followed your account or have some sort of trading background. And so there are a lot of very well-read, educated traders, be it crypto or traditional stocks, that are very willing to answer questions and share alpha that way. So it's a great networking tool as well on that side. So just not necessarily NFTs alone, but just kind of anything on the investment spectrum. So just wanted to add that.
It opens like magical
Ooh,
opportunities.
I want to kind of quick change the subject real quick. Do you have any updates on South by Southwest for you, Kaleo? And if so, if you're still planning on attending, I know a lot of us from Room 110 are planning on going as well. Would it be possible to set up a wonky event?
Bro, we definitely can look into that. Like that. I think Hondo and I can talk about that. I think that'd be a really natural fit to try to set something up. So I don't know. We'll see. Like, no guarantees on anything yet, no promises yet. But keep bugging me about that, because that is something that I am very interested in making happen.
Well, I heard yes and no takesies back.
Yes,
So
too.
I heard it here first.
Hey, Rooster, if worst comes to worst, we'll just do a Room 110 collab with the Wonky.
Sweet, that'll be awesome. So
You're
definitely something to potentially look forward to. South by Southwest this year, I believe, is March 9th through the 19th. Pretty long event. I think we personally are planning to go towards the later half of the week. Not sure everything that's going on, kind of still got to wait and see, developments from what other projects are hosting events when, and what's happening before we make final decisions. But I think a lot of us are thinking about doing the later end of the week.
Can you guys hear me at all or no?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I got rugged for a second.
Wait, oh man, am I rugged?
No, you're good.
Hey, Plotty, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming up here today. You've been just a gem in the space ever since we all met back in the day, and it fills my heart with joy to hear people from outside communities coming in here and just coming in here and feeling the energy that we've been doing since last October. And it's such a magical experience for all of us to just finally come together and celebrate just an amazing culture that's been developed. So much love, Platty.
I'm happy to be part of this community, and I wish, because I've been given some alpha calls lately, and I feel bad because I could have shared it with y'all, and I only told like a few people in the space, and it was just like off of the principle that, you know, instead of chasing these projects that have already pumped, you should find the ones that are undervalued, low price. So I gave some examples of some, and then they freaking pumped, and I didn't even buy. I was like brawler bears, for example. I was telling a whole bunch of people in the space that brawler bears are 0.02, and the founder is the current dev for the Plag. He's trustworthy. He has a long history of development. He used to work for PayPal. He did the NBA Top Shots NFTs. He worked on that project. And like a whole bunch of people just went and swept them, and now they're like almost 0.1. So they did like 3 or 4x since I mentioned them, and I'm like, damn it, I should have bought my own alpha. But yeah, anyways, that's my alpha, is look for projects before they pump.
So you're telling me the Salo bots, the CHAMs.
The what bots?
CHAMs. That's the alpha that I'll give.
By the way, I can't hear 80s throughout. That's why I thought I was rugged for a minute, because I guess the gods of Twitter decided that 80s will be the only one I can't hear from this point forward.
Oh
Yeah,
shit!
that happens occasionally. 80s, you want to step down, come back up? We'll bring you back up if you do, and maybe you step down, leave the space, exit the Twitter app, and come back up. It might work again for him.
Delete your phone, smash it, throw it down the toilet.
Yeah, delete your phone, smash it, do whatever you have to. But we've got Avatava coming up to the stage. Avatava is rocking a bean right now. At least I think that's a bean, unless it's a derivative bean. I'm not sure.
It's just
because I'm not really very
it's
familiar
just a ghost. I'm buying the floor of a few different projects. I don't have a lot of money right now, so I'm just trying to get back involved in the space. But yeah, this is wonderful. I'm so happy that the community's coming together again, and everything seems to be going well. I guess I just wanted to kind of ask maybe which projects I should focus on trying to be able to chart. We could give the Wonky some more alpha if we could chart like the Plague or some other projects. I don't know if I can do it yet, but I'm just wondering which projects maybe I should focus on if I'm like limited by like a number.
Oh man, it's so tough, Avataro, because I think I'm gonna give you the exact same answer I gave you last time up on stage. I love what you did with the pandas, but I think that it all goes back to like what communities resonate with you. Where do you have that passion? What projects, if you're working on something, would you actually, feel inspired to do it, right? Like, it's got to be something that you enjoy. So I just think that regardless of whatever the floor price is or whatever else, like go for it. But there are some things where I don't know, man. I think that like communities just recognize people that continue to work on stuff, and it's something that like if you want to get plugged in, that it's just pursue whatever you're passionate about.
Absolutely, but I think I'm more asking for like you guys, like what, because most of this stuff I'm doing is it's a passion of mine and things like that, but it's also things that I'm trying to think of that other people might enjoy, and it's just been a request. Can we chart other NFT projects? And I've thought about that for a while now, and I've wanted to do it. I just if I can only pick 10 for some reason, I don't know which 10.
What do you mean by chart them?
Well,
like
plug them
into
the open, high, low, close volume of various different NFT projects, because I think I can get that data off an API. At least OpenSea data.
I think that there are. So like there are several platforms that I know you can do that with right now, like ish at least. They're far from perfect though, is the thing. So, like, I've been posting some charts with Parsec. I know Flip has some stuff that they can do as well. Nansen obviously has a product suite as well that you can kind of go through, but a lot of these have different cost barriers and other stuff as far as entry. So, I think if you
Well,
do have some type of API, like
yeah,
that.
sorry to interrupt. I have this idea that I collect information, and you can go to the stonky.art, and you go to where you can normally chart your BTC or ETH, and you can create a real chart with real values based on your stonky. But instead of using like ETH and BTC, somehow I pull in the data for Wonky Stonks and the Plague and any other project, so that in the dropdown you pick that project, and instead of having to go through paywalls to like see a chart, or if you want to share a chart of a different project that also supports Wonky Stonks and advertises Wonky Stonks at the same time, like if it's not worth it, I'll just move on to another idea. But
No,
I just thought,
that's an awesome idea, bro.
I think it's awesome idea
Definitely, yeah.
too. Yeah.
Kaleo, what he's talking about is literally, so on his website you can like chart a real life chart like Bitcoin or ETH and make it into a Wonky stonk with the real life price action. He's saying pulling the data from like OpenSea, from NFT projects as well, and then charting the NFT projects through his website as your own Wonky as well.
Oh yeah, no, that is badass. Like that isn't real. I see what you're saying now.
sorry, maybe I get a little rambly sometimes, and maybe I don't make much sense. But yeah, that is kind of what I'm after.
Avatar, that's part of genius, man. Like, it's not you, it's us.
I would, if you're looking for another project, I mean, one that already Platy just said that's been supportive of LedgArt and whatnot, maybe check out the frogs. I think that'd be a cool concept too.
Yeah,
The frog.
I think you pick the projects that we have the most cross pollination with. So you got frogs, you got pandas,
Yeah.
penguins, little pudgies. I think there's a fair amount of the PA seals. We have the most crossover with, if you're looking at a narrow list to start with.
Yeah, cool. Well, I guess I'll keep reaching out as I maybe get more information, or peel back the layers of the onion. The data that I'm getting would be coming from a different source than OpenSea. OpenSea can give you like the last sale. They used to give you a lot more information, but they continuously just changed the API without really letting anyone know. So there's a different service that seems to offer historical sales. So I'll see what I can do with that. And happy Friday. Everyone have a good weekend.
Much love, Avataba.
Sir, you as well. Yeah, so like, and I think what we're even seeing right now, again, it's similar to what we saw. Like what you're seeing right now are these brief little spikes in different projects where you get a day or two of hot activity and then you're getting some consolidation at whatever that next level higher is, right? Stonks saw that like at the very beginning of December where it moved up from basically 0.07 all the way up, wicked at 0.3, but then kind of cooled back down to 0.13, 0.14, and then
Kobe,
like then you get
come on, Kobe.
another little lift.
Come on,
where
come on, let's go.
then you get another little lift where it goes up again to like 0.28, 0.29. It touches that area again. Then it cools off a little bit to, where we are right now in like the mid 0.2s. And then, so it's just as part of the consolidation game theory where you get like a hot period, then you get a cool off, a hot period and a cool off. And it's not just the stonks, it's across everywhere in the market right now, the penguins too. Where I really think the next stage up for a lot of these projects is, I think the penguins are going to continue higher from here, and they've kind of been leading the charge. And I think whenever either the Penguins continue up or the Squiggles, some other big name blue chip type project continues higher in this price discovery, all these other sub ecosystems continue up with it, right? So, like, it's one of those things where I think that it allows and it affords people patience in that process to be able to, look for opportunities where, okay, maybe some project you were priced out of a little bit more than what you wanted on a day where there was some FOMO, like Chubbyverse Friends, right? Chubbyverse Friends got up to like 0.33 or something, and now, right, like it's at 0.24 or something, right? Like, so, there's some cool off that happens in some of these hotter names. And then you sit there for a little bit, and there's some people that lose confidence with that, right? They're like, hey, I've seen this type of thing retrace before. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to exit out. I'm just going to dump my position. I don't want the risk. And I get that, right? Like, there are different people that have different levels of tolerance for whatever, your investment is, for whatever you're looking at. But, I still think that there's a lot of opportunities still to come right now with this phase of the market where we are. I really think that if Pudgies can continue to break above that, 10 ETH type floor, which is their all-time high in USD, is what it coincides with. Actually, it's a little bit lower than that now, because as ETH continues to climb in USD value, the ETH value for what that USD, the 12K price is, continues to decline. So I think it's closer to like 9 ETH now. So if they can get above that, I really think that it just instills this new level of confidence across the market where we're going to see volume pick up on a level that we really haven't seen yet. But, obviously it all goes back to speculation, so it's whatever people are content with at the end of the day. I mean, obviously, like, I've been content where we are at whatever price, whatever any other price is. And, I think that, like, you just have to be able to take everything with a grain of salt. But, understanding how markets work is important in this process.
If Pudgies get over 10 ETH, I have to get a tattoo, but I will also buy like another 20 Wonkies because I need to get to 100. But I'm like waiting. Like I've sold a couple of things because I think ETH will kind of go on a little bit of a run here. I mean, like it's tightening up, and it's gonna have to make a move soon. Or maybe not soon, but like I think whenever that happens, NFTs usually just peel back a bit, and we might be at like a small local top. But I just don't think it's over. Like there's just so much going on, and we're actually seeing like the flight to like solid projects now. So I just I don't know if there's going to be more mints coming out and people start like degenning on that, but hopefully not, and we don't like lose liquidity to garbage again. But I mean, maybe you can't really help that because of that's just we're all degenerates, right? So people love that, and they want like a home run, but. I think I'm happy with my bags for now. I got some ETH. I mean, I can honestly fuck up the wonky floor right now and get us past, way past that. But I'm waiting. Don't want to be the only one, the first one on the line.
Well, hey, dude, one of the cool things right now that I'm watching, there's this site which I'm just refreshing each day, and like obviously I could do the same thing on Etherscan really easily, but like I had it pulled up yesterday morning. And the floor price was slightly higher than where it was now, but like what I've noticed is there are 15 more, the number of unique holders has increased by 15 in that time span. So like for me, that's a more bullish metric than anything else, right? Is the number of unique holders continuing to grow in a project. And that's something that we've had over the course of the past several weeks. That's what I'm bullish on, is continuing to grow the community. There are not a lot of other communities out there that have been around for as long as we have that have a similar type of valuation, that have as wide of a distribution as we have as far as holdership. And I think that's one of the coolest things about this is, how wide it really is, starting from the mint, but the fact that it's persisted to now. And, what we always talked about was we were going to go through this phase, and it was a long phase where it's distribution from the people that did accumulate during the mint, and it accumulates into the people that have a more, higher level of conviction. And then guess what's happening now? It's distributing back toward, like a larger group of people. And I love that. I think that's the most bullish thing. You're getting more people that are exposed to this community, more people that continue to provide alpha. and more exposure on the timeline and other places like that. Like I love to see it, man. So I love looking on there and seeing, okay, man, there are 15 new stock holders, one day later.
I think if you keep doing these spaces with other solid communities, that's like probably the best way to get more people onboarded in like the short term. Like that's obviously been helping a lot, like what Luke has been doing and just going on, like, and you've been doing it as well. Like, but if there are any other communities that are like large that we haven't like tapped into, I think the cross pollination effect is probably the best way to kind of market right now and get new holders.
Yeah,
Well,
I
even
remember hearing Claire, you said Spaces tour when you come back from New York. I could be the only one that remembers that, but I don't know.
I don't remember it, but I mean, like, bro, I've been on a Spaces tour. I don't know where you've been. I was on 3 Spaces yesterday.
I also remember you weren't you supposed to dox too, but that never happened.
Ladies, officially, the number of likes never happened. Right?
Yes,
like
it
the
did.
bottom
Yes,
likes.
Yes, it did.
No,
You
okay,
quote tweeted it. You quote tweeted it, and
it did not happen. There were time zones where it did not happen in, right? Like
time
so
zones.
yeah, there were time zones it did not happen in. So y'all don't know what part of the world that I was in at that point. I might have flown somewhere else. So
yeah, he hadn't been
know.
like deep into like India or Asia at that point.
Yeah, I might have been celebrating in Australia.
Might have been in Singapore. Who knows?
So, point being, it did not happen. But I take that as a sign from God because I was sitting there and I was like, man, this does not feel like the right way to do it. It does not. I have a tweet right now actually in drafts. I was like, it just doesn't feel like the right way to do it, but I made a promise, so I'm going to go do it. So I was going to go back and quote tweet that tweet and said, hey, this is what happened. And when I searched it, I saw that there were only 4,700 likes, not 8,700. And I was like, holy shit, the bots that came in are all gone, baby. Elon saved my ass. Thank you, Father Elon, for saving me for something that I am not ready for at this instant. So, it's going to happen, but, it's going to happen the way that it needs to happen. So I think that happened for a reason. And, when it does happen, it'll be the right way and the right time. But that was funny though, 80s. Like, because I'm not even joking. I nearly pressed send tweet at first, but then I like saved all the info, like, the text, I copied it and I was like, okay, I'm going to quote tweet this and put it on there. So it was that close.
We almost had it. Oh man. No, it's all good, brother. Hey, whatever feels right in your heart, inside your soul, man, you know how to do it, brother.
Anyway, but yeah, man, you nearly got me too, and I appreciate the accountability on that as well.
There's one thing I do is hold accountability.
Dude, it's true, man. It's true. Yeah, like speaking of that, like I remember there was this period where at the end of as the market kind of started tanking there in December/January, I was exhausted from Twitter, exhausted from everything. And I won't even lie, even with the stonks at that point, this is not this December, January, this is a year ago. Like I was in over my head with the expectations and with kind of the rhythm and what to do with the stonks. We did it as a free mint and kind of, hey, we'd figure it out along the way. I was in over my head. I had a buddy's wedding in Tampa, met up with 80s, and he sat down. He was like, what is your vision right now? What are you doing? He's like, he's like, we love you, we trust you, but we'd love to hear right now from you because it wasn't just that I'd taken a break from stonks. I was off Twitter, off everything for like a few weeks during that time period. And that conversation where I sat down, met 80s in person. I guess I'd met him once before, but went through everything with him, and he kind of like. He supported me, but he also challenged me at that time and said, hey, we're here one way or the other. But man, like right now, I really think that this is something great still. And I had not given up on the stonks, right? In no way had I. But, sometimes you just need somebody to lay down a challenge in front of you, and not just encourage you, but to put that challenge in a healthy way on the plate. 80s did that, right? Like, so accountability is healthy, and I don't think that we'd be where we are today without that conversation.
I love you, brother. Bottom of my heart, man.
You too, man. Well, no, then after that, he takes me around in his new Corvette, and I think that he's trying to kill me. I'm like, I
I had to
literally
lighten the
thought he
mood
was
somehow.
trying to kill me. And I was like, because it was like the first time that I'd really, second time that I met him, but like still just this anon from the internet. We get in the Corvette after lunch, and he starts going 100 miles per hour down the streets of downtown Tampa. And, taking these wild turns and this and that. And I'm like, holy shit, like I am going to die right now. This guy wants to kill me. And for like in the back of my head, I was half thinking that. And we made it back in one piece of the parking lot. I was like, okay, no, he was just showing me that the car is kind of badass. And it was. But in the back of my head, I was also thinking, like, man, like, is it that
bad? He was nervous at first to get in, and then he finally let loose a little bit. I saw, man. You had a big smile on your face. It was priceless. I wish I would have captioned it, man.
Well, I was smiling because I didn't know whether to like laugh or cry. Like, honestly, I'm just kidding.
Hey, but listen, on top of that conversation that we did have, there was one thing that I did, encourage you to do a little bit more of, and I'm glad you're finally like embracing the shit out of it. Is breaking in more into the NFT community and exploring this other world that is just full of incredible opportunities, man, and you're killing it right now, brother. So I'm like, from an observation point of view, like to see the growth in the past year from that conversation with you, brother, that's killer, man. Proud of you, brother.
I appreciate that, man. And I think that's one of the things that, again, took longer than it should have due to the social pressures of, I talked about this on a space the other day, the social pressures of having a large account where you curate a certain audience. And there are a lot of people that are opposed to NFTs in that audience that just think it's this, whatever scammy view and have a terrible opinion over it. So then you're like, man, well, I'm not appealing to that audience and I'm not doing whatever. And you start thinking more for people rather than yourself. And I think what I finally realized over the course of the past year is like, fully embracing this is the future. And you can either, support me in this vision, and you can either be along for the ride with me, or, you can leave. And I don't care if you leave. I'll curate the audience and the community that I want in the process. So I'm, if there's a period where it's lower engagement or it's this or that, that's fine with me, right? Like I will continue to talk about what I'm passionate about. Like I'll continue to talk about trading, but I'll also continue to talk about the NFT market because, there's a ton of potential across the board, and it deserves, not just to be talked about, but, to be invested in, to be able to spend your time. Like, I don't know, man, you deserve to be able to pursue whatever you're passionate about and wherever you hold that conviction.
It's all about embracing your true self, brother. And that's the ripple effect that I've had since day one in this space, is to give to every single person, is that ripple effect of embracing every moment for a chance to meet your true self and wholeheartedly embrace it, brother. And it's beautiful to see human beings just like and do it in real time, from you, from everybody in this space. Like, this is a special moment for all of us, man. And I'm glad you're here with us.
Isn't it cool though, 80s, how like life sometimes gives you what you need when you need it too, where, like I know that there was a period there this last month where I know you've been going through some tough times, and like, bro, I hear just this spark of life in your voice too, that I'm not going to say wasn't there before, but like I can just tell, the authenticity and like the life, everything, like it's there and it's real, and it's, it's really encouraging for me to hear that too.
Yeah, man. The past month, sometimes we come to these walls in our life that we either let it stop us, or we get to a point in our journey where we can bust through that shit and unleash our true self even more than it's ever been unleashed. And every experience that we have, whether it's good or bad, it's all moments for us to experience and for us to grow. And I'm just happy to have the support system that I have here with this community, because it did help me get through some darker times, and looking forward to the brighter times now. And I do have that spark because I'm having fun and I'm sharing this energy that we're all supposed to be sharing with each other with pure intentions.
Honestly, I kind of knew Kaleo was gonna go deep down the rabbit hole. Like when he was joining Spaces back, like when I met him in like the summer of 21, I'm just like, yeah, he's just. Some people just take a little time to like figure everything out too. Because honestly, I know like I was skeptical about everything until I got into Penguins, and then it just like kind of clicked. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just like the light bulb moment where you just get something and you're like, okay, like we'll like
Well,
navigate through this, but it takes a
to
little bit
be
longer.
fair, Bogfather, what I said back then, and like, I rang true to it. I said, I was like, I want to get more involved in a bunch of these projects right now, but I was like, I really feel like the NFT market's at a top.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
it was. It was.
that's what I kept saying. I
It
was
totally
like,
was.
this just feels like a top. And I was like, I am going to wait to buy the blood and to be able to, get involved whenever everyone else doesn't want to be here anymore. That's what I said. Like, that's what I stuck to. So there's part of me that wishes I did it sooner. But so it wasn't that I didn't have like a level of conviction in the market and like the potential for it. It was just that I was like, man, this shit is way overbought right now across the board. There's too much hype. I'm going to wait until there's no hype and then start to do it. Like, I'd say it's worked out so far as
No,
like, that side of it's concerned.
yeah, you've done like a great job though. Like, cause like honestly, no one really knew how to. If you're a founder of a project, like realistically, no one had like a good idea of like what needed to be done. And you like the cash grabby stuff that happened, towards the end of 21, clearly didn't work out. And you've built a community over the last year or so, and we're like in prime position now over the next year, like where you didn't really even need to have a roadmap. Let's be honest. Like you just needed to like get a group of people believe in you, and then you can go from there. And there's a like whenever like the meta is changing, seeing like what like Luke is doing, and these like events, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's like we're kind of figuring out where like the utility is behind any of this. So like by taking your time, like that was like the healthy way, for a lot of projects to grow. And we're seeing like the people that were building communities like really kind of succeeding right now, and having like a flight to seeing like an overall increase in just not only in the floor, but just like still growing and throughout the bear market, which is super bullish. Like even all this growth, like it's going to get exponential at some point. I don't want to be the bullish guy. I'm not usually the bullish guy. I like to be temperamental, but it's going to happen. It really is. And I don't think I'm prepared for it, but it will be wild. It's going to be fun, and you just got to be patient.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the side of we're not even in the bull market yet. I will fight this hill for a while until I see much larger volume spikes across the board, right? Even just compared to January, February of 22, where the volume that we have in the space is still just a blip. A lot of people are saying, we're in a bull because a certain few, so like good projects are pumping with all deserved right to. But I'm on the hill that we are not in a bull market yet.
I agree, Rooster. I really don't think that we are. And there are a lot of people that think that's insane, but I think that like you combine it with several things, right? If the market does bounce back, like I think that it will at some point this year with, and I think right now we're seeing the early stages of it with Bitcoin and ETH. I think that there are a lot of people that are bearish right now still. They want to see another 50% crash across everything, and they don't think the capitulation is in. And like, is there a possibility of that? Yeah, sure. You should never rule it out, especially with what we've seen this past year. But I think there's a good chance that we're pretty oversold across the market right now, and that prices do continue to rebound on these underlying core assets like Bitcoin, like ETH, and that we continue to see some type of bounce back, and that as confidence returns to the marketplace, that ends up spilling over into the NFT marketplace as well. And I think that whatever speculation there is across Bitcoin and ETH, I think that you're going to get that on steroids across strong NFT projects. And obviously, as confidence returns across the market with Bitcoin and ETH, and the price of shit goes up, guess what? The speculation and the volume returns too. And you can see right now how little volume it takes to be able to move some of these projects, to be able to get them moving. So, I mean, as volume comes back, and then on top of that, where you start to reach the mania phase, you start to get new people, and it doesn't even have to last long. It can be a few weeks of it, right? But you'll get people that are like, oh shit, like, that NFT thing is back, and they start buying into it. And it's the way that some of these little mini cycles work. It doesn't have to be a full cycle to have that type of an effect, but I think the potential for that is still there, even if the real cycle isn't going to start until 2024, 2025. Karate, welcome up to the stage, man. Good to have you here, sir.
What's going on? Is there a voice changer on this? I clicked a couple buttons. I don't know what happened.
I don't think so. Is this your first space?
I think I was up on one of yours, a year ago. But I'm really happy I tuned in. This has been super fun. I've been listening for the past hour. I'm just chilling at work, Friday vibes. So it's been really nice. But I kind of wanted to bounce off that a little bit more, and I think it's in bear markets everybody gets bored, and I think it's easier to know that we're in a bear market, or it's easier to kind of say, okay, well, all right, we're bored, we're kind of at the bottom, everyone's gone. I think we're not going to be able to see that as much or as clearly this go around, because we're not really bored, and I don't think we're going to be bored with all the NFT stuff. So I think it's not going to be as clear cut as past cycles, where all of a sudden things are going to rally and we're going to be like, wait, what's going on? And it's actually because everything else is kind of just flattened for a long time, but we're going to be super distracted, having fun doing what we're doing. I think we're already kind of seeing that.
Yeah, it's funny. You also notice, some of the larger CT people starting to notice, and I've seen a couple tweets, and they're like, it seems like the only people having fun right now are the NFT bros. And I mean, it's true. The aspect of community brings a lot different to dealing with the bear market in this space compared to just some random alt shitcoin community, right? No one there'll be some Telegram groups, right? But it's nowhere near the same reach as the community aspect in NFTs, and we are really the only ones truly having fun right now. So you'll just notice more and more start to trickle in, I think.
Yeah, I do have friends that kind of faded NFTs completely, and we were trading a ton during the 2021, and they're just bored out of their minds. So yeah, that's happening. It really kind of feels like the end of 18 going into 2019, where we were just so dead, and we're getting a small you're getting people dipping their toes in. It starts. It's it's like a positive feedback loop. It's the first degens start buying stuff up. It creates momentum. The people buying the Pudgy Penguins is the chain link of this bear market. And that was my thesis for the last 18 months. Where you could have something that's just completely inversely correlated to the market. And that might not be good when we actually get super bullish, but it hasn't reached its highs at all, but it can just keep going and kind of propel other projects and, that generate the liquidity that trickles down. And then you have more people that become more risk on because of it. And it's that positive feedback loop. And we had that kind of that little run in 2019. And, I'm kind of just paying attention to just macro news, where if bad news stops affecting the market, then maybe we've had some kind of a bottom where it's just not so fragile anymore. And that's usually a good sentiment. If you're looking for a bottom, it's when catastrophic news stops nuking the market. I remember in 2019, I think it was Binance getting hacked and some other crap, and like Bitcoin didn't even move. And I think it was like around like 4 or 5K, and I'm like, all right, I'm going balls deep long now. Like that was like the sign. So like I don't know what's going to happen, but I think if we do get recovery in TradFi, BTC, ETH, like we'll get affected in the short term, but there'll be more people. First of all, people will have more money to spend, and also it'll probably trickle over into NFTs. So I think we'll have a good a good Q1 at least.
Also, I don't know if this has been said before, but 80s sounds just like PP. Like they're identical people. I was like, wait a second, where's PP McGee?
I've
Wait,
heard
what?
PP talk. I didn't know he sounded like that. That's hilarious. Did I get rugged, or is everybody silent?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
I'm just
sorry, it's
putting
silent
bacon on the
because
frying
I'm
pan.
typing out a tweet right now and I had myself muted. But there, I saw the fake LedgArt account that followed me with like 2 R's, and they have a tweet that's botted out with like 1,000 likes, 125 retweets. They bought, they bought themselves 14,000 followers too, and they were like, "Stonk, whatever, just sold for 125 ETH."
What?
We're doing a new mint right now.
No
And like we're trying, so I'm just trying to like take a screenshot and put it out there. I think that's bullish that people are actually making fake accounts and trying to scam with that. We got
100%
the
bullish.
scammers' attention.
110%.
But anyway, I am gonna just put a screenshot out there just to do it and say we are not doing anything. So that's why.
I hope people actually listen to our spaces and the education we give to like about clicking links and security and all that stuff. So, that sucks, man.
Yeah, it's probably that Mario guy. I'm just gonna blame that Mario guy for everything
Mario
on Twitter.
He's a character, right? Jesus.
Well, I came up here to say a couple things. So last December, when you kind of fell back a little bit, Kaleo, I was kind of just observing at that time. I think it paid off. I think it brought the community even closer because I was watching everybody just kind of hold things down. I think we're in a better place for it. I think that all happened for a reason. That's one of the things I want to say, and then I want to make a suggestion. And maybe once a month we pick a community member and just put a spotlight on them, what they've been doing, what their history is. Maybe like make some kind of thread. So the new people coming in kind of know our history and the prominent members.
I like that. No, we can definitely do that, man. I think that anything that we can do like that to be able to support other people within the community is something that, we definitely should focus on. Something that's always been something that we've tried to focus on. So, if there's a more official way of doing that, then like, hey, I'm all for it. Okay, so we've got somebody new up to the stage, Slade ETH. Don't think we've ever had you before. I try before I bring anybody else up here to see if I've got any mutuals. And you had at least like 14 or 15 mutuals, which in this space for your size, like, is a pretty decent amount. So welcome up to the stage. How's it going?
Hey, thank you, brother. I've been enjoying the show, but I am actually here because we're working with Karate, and I wanted to give him first-class service and let him know that we just airdropped the PFP into his wallet, and so he'll be able to use his Penguin for live streaming and all that.
My penguin is me!
That's amazing.
Hey, we got
Bro,
this
the funny thing is,
I'm so pumped.
I've had a guy that did that one time for me. Actually, a couple times. I've had people literally join a space of mine to say, "Hey, check your DMs." It's literally happens. I love it, man.
Yeah, thank you. I just I'm excited for him. I know he's excited about what we did for him, so I just wanted to tell him myself and meet him because we haven't actually talked on Spaces or anything before. So what up, and have fun.
Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. Gonna get it all set up, and I'll post something on Twitter.
Grotty, you've been a penguin for a long time, right? Like when did you first get your penguin?
I got my first penguin like at the top last cycle. To be honest, I had a lot of liquidity from Parallel, and then I just wanted one. So I actually recently like tax loss harvested it, and then snagged this bad boy at like 3 ETH or something. And then I've got another wallet that's kind of hidden with some other stuff, but this is like my forever penguin, I think.
Bro,
I
how
love it.
are things
Mint
going
on
in the
mint
world
is
of
so
Parallel
clean.
these days?
What's up?
How are things going in the world of Parallel these days?
Fantastic. We're coming in the last pack drop and super pumped for it. Game is going to be an alpha very shortly, so you can actually sign up for that. I think it's still open. It might not be open anymore, but all the rumors circulating are it's going to be one badass game, so very excited.
10-4, man. Well, like that's one of those things too. Parallel has I love the art with it. It's just one of those things in a bear market. I think it's one of those plays that if you're a DGen, you're like, okay, I can scoop up a shit ton of Parallel for free, and it may not go anywhere, but it may also do something eventually, right? Because it's one of those type plays with the amount of supply that you have, which you obviously have to if you're creating a game. That if there's any major traction this next bull market, and there really are the level of entrants that are, it just puts to shame what we saw last time, then hey, that value could end up presenting itself there. But in the meantime, I think it's one of those things where hey, if you appreciate the art, which the art is amazing, and you appreciate the game, then the community, everything else, then like you can trust that vision and be able to kind of sit around for whatever else. And I don't know. I met the Parallel people. I'm definitely like the Parallel crew. I still don't have any Parallel exposure, but I respect what you guys have been working on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the team at all. I would, that would be goals.
Oh wait, shoot! I thought that you were on the team with.
No,
Fitch.
but you're in Inverse Guild. That's like Fitch's team for Parallel. I think you're in it. You're like in our Telegram chat.
Bro, I am. I don't get on Telegram too much.
Yeah, but the thesis, like all these projects have different, investment thesis, whatever. But essentially the Parallel one is that they're coming off with an end product. That's their goal. They're building more of a franchise, and it is one of those things where it's one of those hold. It's a long-term hold. I know the game's not going to be out tomorrow, so you gotta understand that. So it's just different than what we see with other projects. But yeah, I'm working with Skelly Guys, which is a PFP project. So that's the stuff that I'm working on.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Bright Avian, welcome up to the stage. How's it going?
Hey. So enjoying this different profile pic today. Anyway, I wanted to comment.
Bro, I was gonna say I barely recognize you with the white.
Yeah, like nobody recognizes me. I also have like the Neo Tokyo
It's my
hat,
post
like the
season,
one
baby.
and like the moment I leave my penguin, but everybody's like, who is that? Anyway, so I wanted to comment on like parallelizing, like actually like digital trading card games and like NFTs are like honestly like in my opinion like one of the biggest use cases for NFTs, because if you think about it, like all the digital trading card games out there, they were like really successful. Like the Magic the Gathering Arena had like a lot of traction during COVID. Hearthstone blew up like early and like kind of started the wave. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has like dual links on mobile. They're all like really big, but like it's called like a trading card game, like a TCG. Well, there's no trading involved at all, like no collecting, like these digital ones. So I think like it's probably from like everything we have in this space and like all the games and all the profile pics. Honestly, I think like TCGs are like the best use case for NFTs. Then on the other hand, I'm not sure if like Parallel is like approaching it like the right way, because I'm like a really big proponent of like keeping supplies like limited, because like the other like key factor we get from NFTs is like digital scarcity, well, which means like actual demand has to be larger than like actual supply. And like I'm not talking about like hype supply, how we had like when like parallel blew up early on. It's like I find it like a little bit dangerous, like the way they're like currently inflating like the supply of these cards. I think like it's dangerous to be like, oh yeah, in the future there will be a lot of demand, so well, put that demand out then in the future. But yeah, like that said, I still think it's like one of the biggest areas, and if there actually are like more people joining the space, it probably could do like really well. But just like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like really not liking the way a bunch of projects are like inflating supplies and being like, yeah, in the future there will be so many people. Well, yes, in the future there will also be like so many more projects that like eat into market share and like eat into the same niche. So it's like it's like tricky, but yeah, I think they're like building one of the strongest areas. So I don't know, maybe I get like some exposure eventually. I had like some exposure, but I don't know. I'm not really liking what they do to supply, but I'm really liking the area they're working in, and like also like the art and everything they do.
Yeah, that's completely fair. That's good thoughts. They've taken a lot of supply stuff in consideration, and they want to make sure that there's enough out there for the future for
Well,
sure.
yeah,
But I think they
that's
do a
what
really
I'm
good
like
job
talking.
at
I think
holding
like
back as
building for
well.
the future, like a little bit risky. You can build for the here and now, and then just like always expand to the future. Like nobody's like stopping you from doing that. As well, like all the like traditional card games that are doing, like they start like out small, and I mean like the stuff that is working in parallel are like the limited like collectibles, like the rare ones. These are like the ones that people actually buy and like that drive the collection. And you have like a bunch of the ones that are like barely worth gas cost. And I don't know, like it probably works out in the long term, but it's like I don't know. I don't think they do it themselves like a favor, but I still think they succeed because like if the game is good and like as I said, I think it's like one of the biggest areas for NFTs, could have like massive potential.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to see there are a lot of ifs and whatever out there. I mean, heck, like I'm partnered right now I work with So Rare NBA, and I think they've got a pretty cool design with the way that they've approached that, where they've got a really high supply and they've got different tiered cards, right? Where it's like limited, then they've got like the rare, then the super rare. So same type of functionality at each level, different price barrier. So I think that's kind of a decent solution, but I don't know if there is a perfect solution, right? Because we're in that phase where we don't really know what the right answer is. So I think that like it's all TBD, man. We will see.
Like my personal take on that is like just like make like the actual rare NFTs and like make them limited, like actually built for like current supply. And if you like one thing like really like is like for like broader appeal, like if you want to like give out free stuff, like give out like not even like NFTs, give out like soulbound tokens, but like not soulbound tokens in the way we've seen them right now that are like mostly like tokens, but make them actual NFTs. But like there's no point in making them sellable if they're just like low value. Actually just like give them to people, let them like use it in games and just like distribute them like that, because then, well, even if there's like a bunch of them, you don't have like this like completely crushed market that makes everything like kind of look like it's like going to zero. If you just like make it soulbound and well just like want to build a fan base this way, because that's like the bulk or like the big upside from like doing these like large supply collections. You get like a lot of people in. If you give it out for free, well then you have like a good audience and you just like use the people as marketing tool, and NFTs like as a facilitator to get that.
Yes, sir. So we will see. All right, let's go ahead and go to Caesar. Which Caesar, bro, I have seen you. You are a Ute followed by a lot of the community. I know you have been plugged into the wonky scene recently. First time up on the stage, from what I can tell. Would love to hear you introduce yourself, and feel free to ask whatever you got.
Mr. Kaleo, bro, what a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so I'm a founder myself. I have 3 Web2 companies, and now I'm building my 4th company in Web3 space. So I'm an entrepreneur by heart, but I've been also following you, man, since fucking 2020. And I just wanted to let you know a very short story. I already texted you this on a tweet, But bro, on my office, on my co-working space here in Sweden, in the southern part of Sweden, we used to follow your calls a lot, man. And we made some money, like decent money with Engine Coin. And it was like a girl, and then it was like 2-3 guys more. And then we all made so much money with Engine Coin that we went on a ski trip in northern Sweden, man. And we just booked like a super nice apartment with fucking sauna, man. We ate the best fucking food like for a week. Man, and the moment we went there to spend the money, the Engine Coin fucking fell down, man. So it was the fucking perfect timing. It was around March, man. It was fucking beautiful. So you really, really made an impact in our lives. So this is what fucking community is, man. So always good vibes with you. Regarding the NFT world, man. I actually know that. Filtering information, because there are so many NFT projects, man. There are so many chains and so many good communities at different NFT projects. Like I have two questions. The first one is like, how are you filtering the information, man? Do you have like a team checking all the NFT projects? Because it takes a lot of time to know when a project is good and when a project is shit, right? You need to get a pulse for the community. You need to kind of like follow the floor price. So that's the first question. Like, how are you spending your time filtering all this information with so many NFT projects that are really making some nice pumps? And the second one, man, is like, for now, I knew that you didn't want to get into Bonk, but I did ape into Bonk, and I made a bag because I did it for the culture, man. I was vibing a bit with the Solana people. But then I realized again, man, like you make way more money with tokens than with NFT, right? So I feel like there are too many small gains with NFTs compared with tokens, because it's like a percentage, right? So the second question was like, okay, the first one is like how you filter the information, and the second one is like, did you came to try to make money with NFTs, but then you also stay for the culture, like you started vibing with the communities? And cheers, bro. Thank you for bringing me upstage.
That's awesome, man. Well, as far as looking for stuff like that, it at the end of the day goes down to people that you trust, seeing the activity, and I think spending the time there. I kind of disagree with you though, Caesar, where I think that there is as much, if not more, opportunity in NFTs if you can be patient. Not to say that I think everything when you're looking at those type of returns goes back to just patience and, not waiting until there are just pumps that are happening left and right and kind of chasing whatever the hot name is. Though, hey, as Bonk showed, there is opportunity in that. And like what Bonk showed is that there were plenty of times that during that way up, people could buy and hey, it might have gone up another 50, 100%. But all it takes is a day for it just completely sink back down. So the pumponomics of a lot of this stuff, I don't know. I think that we've been in a healthy area where it's given us the opportunity to accumulate high conviction projects. And that's, what I've been doing. Like with the Penguins, whenever I got involved with the Penguins, where I just saw them completely hustling, grinding, still showing up every single day, saw Luca, saw what he was doing, saw that they haven't gone away, and, they were just chilling underneath 3 ETH still. So I was like, hey, there is going to be a day where the demand exceeds the supply for this price level, and I'll be patient. So like that was kind of the idea behind it. And it wasn't one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm going to flip it for, in 1 week, make X amount. And saying, okay, like, I'm going to be patient for this process. And I think that there's opportunity in that. So I think that that's the biggest thing is, if you can have patience with a lot of this stuff and see the bigger vision and like invest in the activity and collect based on the activity and your passion with that, rather than, whatever the hype of the day is, I think you'll be more successful in the long run. So we've got Slade with his hand up again. Slade, how is it going?
Hey, I didn't know you were like the king of alpha. This is my first time here, so I got a question for you. So I'm curious what I'm scared
You're
to
rugging.
invest.
You're rugging on us, bro.
Did it get better at all?
Yeah, there you go. No, you're rugged. It got better for a second. When you asked if it got better, but it is not better. Unfortunately. Well, Slade / everybody, I also apologize. I actually do have to wrap it up with the space for today. It has been a legendary space, though. Really have enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody that's come up here. Absolutely killed it. A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun stuff happening with the Stonks. A lot of fun stuff happening with the other communities out there. So fun times to be doing this. We'll be back here next Friday, same time, same place. So if you have, one, share this recording with others because I think there was a lot of fire content. 2, make sure to look out for that tweet, and we will see y'all then. Once again, love you guys, though.
Much love, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Space. Have a good New Year.
Thanks for having me. Much love, everybody.
Bye bye.
Turbo bullish on Wonky Stonks. Let's go.